Welcome everybody back to S3 Podcast episode 23, 20. God, I don't know. It's all over the place.
He's making that up.
All four of us are back here once again. How you guys doing?
Alive.
I'm okay.
Quarantined.
This is going to be a great episode. I can already tell. Okay, so to kind of keep it going, previously in the whole podcast realm, we've been doing just big umbrella topics and trying to make it super focused on one thing. And we wanted to try something new this time. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But we're just going to talk about, some current events in the automotive world. There's not really a lot of, automotive-based podcasts that do that. There's a lot of other podcasts, but nobody really in the automotive space. Most of it's just doing interviews of people within the industry. And we figured you guys might like, some of the current events. So, what's going on right now? Other than the coronavirus stuff, you have, the CEO of Nissan put himself in a box and shipped himself to Lebanon. Nobody's talking about it.
I read that for the first time today. I couldn't believe it. You said something about it. And I looked, as I read the article, what's the deal? Why is he being prosecuted right now? Because it's $13 billion for bail?
He was basically embezzling money. So he was a super successful guy. He was, I think at the same time, he was the CEO of Nissan and Renault at the same time. I don't think it's ever been done before to be the CEO of two Fortune 500 companies at the same time. But apparently he was just embezzling money like crazy, like everywhere you could possibly do it. He was just $1 million here, $5 million there, $10 million here. And so just like he was pretty sneaky about it because apparently he got away with it for years. What's his name? It's something Gosen.
Yeah, you're right. It's
I don't know, and I'm sorry if I get it wrong because I only know bits and pieces of the story. But I know it's nutty. I know he got in trouble, got put on lockdown, like you're going to Japanese jail, and then he flew what is it?
Makoto Uchida, I think. I probably butchered that.
Not right. I think it's Carlos Gosen.
Yeah. I just read it's Ghosn.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's.
Okay, yeah. This is the guy that has took over since.
I feel like in office paper, we're like Naga, not going to be working.
Not going to work here anymore. but anyway, yeah. So apparently, he threw a party at his house, and then had the musicians smuggle him out in a bass case or something like that, and they put him on a plane, and he left the country.
That's kind of badass.
I know, right?
There's at some point there's going to be a movie about this. There has to be. That's crazy.
Yeah,
and he's in Lebanon now.
We were talking about this, I guess, a month or a month and a half ago. So I sat there just kind of reading articles and taking notes. And I remember I was 2 pages of notes in, just going, "Oh my God!" And then he did what? What the hell is this guy doing? It just got more and more ridiculous every.
Yeah, why are we not hearing about that, man? That's like soap opera stuff.
I think it took so long to bust him because he had really taken Nissan from the depths of just bankruptcy and being terrible at making cars and to actually being relevant again. So he kind of.
I thought you were going somewhere else, a joke with that, to still be terrible at making cars. No. That's why the 370 is
selling a lot of them.
Better part of 2 decades. Yeah.
It's so dumb. Wild. Do you think? Okay, so now that he's fled to Lebanon, does he still have this money? Where's the money at?
So check this out. Part of the article was he's in Lebanon and apparently nobody knows exactly where it was, but his friend was yeah, no, he's in his home in Lebanon and he's free and he's totally happy and fine. So he's got all this he was born there, grew up there.
Right now, I'm almost positive he's in a Japanese jail cell right now.
How did they get him from Lebanon?
I don't know.
I'm thinking there's some jurisdiction issues, but that's just my spaghetti western
jurisdictional grievances. I thought I read, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought that I read that he was in. Look it up, Hunter. Where is he now? I'm pretty sure he's in jail.
Per CNN, Carlos Ghosn, former Nissan chief, leaves Japanese jail after 108 days behind bars. So he did go to jail, and he has since made bail. His bail conditions require him to stay in Japan and be closely monitored.
Stop embezzling money.
Was that after
doing that?
Left? Because in the article that I read, he was under like strict monitoring, and that's why he bounced out. And his bail was like $13 million. They took away his passports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's funny though? In this CNN article on Carlos Ghosn, I am getting a Mishimoto advertisement.
Shout out. Shameless plug.
Isn't that interesting?
Huh. Well,
But yeah, that whole story is crazy, and I didn't even know it was possible to be the CEO of 2 Fortune 500 companies at one time.
I had never heard of it before him, to be honest. I don't know if it's ever been done other than him.
yeah, it seems like
What
it would
does
be.
Renault make? What are they known for?
I mean, they're not here. They're a European French
Yeah.
company.
Well, yeah, I know that.
I know the rally
Did they
car.
make
Clio.
something cool?
Yeah, they had the little Turbo 2s back in the day.
Mhm.
And
Oh
the
yeah,
Clio,
I do remember
all that
that.
kind of stuff. Yeah,
There were a bunch of them at that museum we went to in
Yeah.
remember?
Yeah. I do remember that.
yeah.
That's crazy. Well, speaking of things that companies are doing nowadays, Ford has recently leaked potential photos of the new Ford Bronco. One of which I saw 2 photos in the same like warehouse or garage of whatever it was in. One was a 4-door, and one was actually a 2-door. Didn't even know it was still legal to make 2-door SUVs, but apparently it is. But the 4-door really resembled a Jeep Wrangler.
Yeah, show did.
I'm curious. Wooly, Jesse, both of you guys are JK owners. What's your thoughts on having, a Jeep Wrangler competitor if this turns out to be that?
Right. I mean, because for the last, decades, everybody's kind of left Jeep alone with the Wrangler to do their thing. So as a Jeep guy, I mean, it's kind of interesting. Anytime there's more competition, I think it's cool because it's going to sharpen everybody up. I think it's cool that Ford's getting into it, and fully expect them to bail out after a couple of years like they did with the
That's what everybody's fearing.
So I don't
We know how
think
that
Jeep should really
works.
worry about it. Yeah, they're going to be like, year 2, it didn't sell as well as a Jeep, so we're just going to stop doing that now.
Yeah.
I mean, but let's be honest. Like Jeep hasn't really. I mean, they don't really need competition. They've kept pushing the envelope regardless of there's competition or not. I feel like that's the whole like Dodge, Jeep, Chrysler thing, because when it comes to the Challenger, they just keep one-upping themselves, and nobody's asking for it. So like, not that Jeep needed any competition in the first place. It's a bold move from Ford because going up, against a model that's been here for decades, like you got a lot of catching up to do. And I'm assuming it's going to be a lot of new manufacturing of new parts that, they're not. It's the same idea when I look at the FRS. That price was up because none of those parts that were in the FRS was in anything else in their line. So naturally it's going to be more expensive. So it's going to be interesting to see them try to compete in that.
That's where, I got a love-hate thing with Ford, obviously. It seems like every 20 years they do something cool, and then they can it, and then they don't do anything for 20 years.
In this case, it was a lot less than 20 years. They just did it like 5 years ago and then canned it.
Yeah, all right. So, like,
stuff.
the Focus and Fiesta thing, they were really
Here we
with
go.
the Focus. They were really kind of going after that GTI title spot, right? And I feel like they didn't give it enough time in America. They kind of bailed out too quick, and as soon as it was starting to catch, they had already made the decision to kill it. I hope they don't do that with the Bronco because they don't deserve to have record year on the first couple of years. They got to get in there and kind of earn their reputation in that segment. And the cars have to be kind of tried and true. So I hope that they give it the time that it needs to kind of, filter through the market and everything and create its reputation. Good luck.
Speaking of the whole ST thing, You know, I hate the Explorer and the Edge ST. I hate them, and people get mad at me because you know they're good cars. They're good cars, yes, and I know that they're good cars, and I appreciate them being as good cars. But for example, the other day I went to Walmart to attempt to find some toilet paper, and as I was leaving, I saw I think it was an Explorer ST. You know, coming down like one of the aisles, and they caught my eye because it's a good looking for an SUV. It's a good looking car, right? So I look over at it and I'm just like, I hope it's somebody cool driving it. I just hope. And sure enough, it had to be an 85-plus-year-old white curly hair lady, and she passed me with a handicap license plate on the back of it. And no offense to grandma, but that's exactly the reason that car shouldn't exist.
Maybe she's a cool grandma, man.
Yeah. I mean, maybe
I don't know.
But
look, if they still made the rest of the STRS line, I would be like, all right, hell yeah, man. Bring out the Explorer, bring out the Edge, because some people do need that, and that's cool. I'm not one of those that was hating on putting the ST badge on anything other than a Focus or a Fiesta, but I think to kill it, kill the enthusiast end of it, and then put it on SUVs is like so sackless. Can I say?
Yeah, I think that's what frustrates me.
What's that?
I think that's what frustrates. I don't think it's the SUV part, because take for instance, you know, the Grand Cherokee or the Trackhawk or whatever.
Yes,
like,
yes. Have you seen that thing launch,
dude? That thing, yeah, it's a bitchin' SUV that if I was a family man and I needed it and I could, you know, it was within my means, I would own it. But that's because they still have their other cars.
Well, I mean, take BMW, right? They carry the M line through the SUVs now, and nobody loses their mind over it because they've kept, well, arguably, but at least they keep the purity of the M, you know, the M badge alive in the sports cars and whatnot. So it's passable. But what Ford did was just follow the money. Pretty much. Well, people are buying Escapes, Edges, and Explorers and F-150s, so cut everything else. And that's just
like the new Eclipse.
Yeah, cross. Anyway, what else you got for us, Hunter?
So on top, just to kind of add on the whole new car thing and where modern industry is, some new rates came out today that show that the Tesla Model 3 is now the 6th best-selling car in the United States. The first time that a fully electric, not hybrid, but a fully electric vehicle has gotten that high on, you know, a list like that. And, you know, what as car guys, what's our thoughts on that?
First of all, that's crazy. Second of all, I believe it because they're freaking everywhere where I live, all over the place.
I was about to say, they are not where I live, man.
Really? You're out of the sticks, though.
Yeah, everything here is F-150 and Chevy. But, like, what do you have, like, the fine print on that? Is that, like, out of sedans or out of cars? That does obviously not count SUVs, or...
Let me see.
I think it's across
I'm pretty sure that's like...
Camry as number 1, Corolla is number 2. I think it's Civic is number 3. Altima is number 4, Accord is 5, and Tesla is 6.
This is best-selling cars, not best-selling vehicles.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there ain't that many cars left. So 6th is probably about middle of the pack. I personally, I can't hate on anything Elon Musk does. He you know, it's. If you're looking for like a car manufacturer just with a lot of freaking spirit behind it, I mean, again, Mopar, you know, like Mopar's doing their thing. Elon Musk and Tesla is doing their thing. I wish that maybe there was a little bit more driver focus in these electric cars, but even though I can't really say that because he makes the Roadster, I mean, you know what I mean? He's just trying to wow the people, and part of wowing people is autonomous cars. But hey, I've driven the, what was it, P85 or 95D or whatever, like 5 or 6 years ago. I've driven the Model 3 and they're awesome. Like, they're really fun. Like, as a car enthusiast, like, you got to kind of like it. You know, as like a purist,
and that's
like,
what makes you mad.
It's weird though.
Yeah.
Because everything you know about the
like,
automotive industry is thrown out the window when you get in that car and start it up.
Yeah.
You don't, it's like, I don't know. For me, it's like, I don't want to like the Tesla. I want to be against it. Internal combustion engine needs to always reign king. But you see some of the things that Elon Musk is doing. You ride in the cars. I mean, the dude is like the perfect asshole. Like, he's just enough edgy to where, like, as a businessman and as a successful entrepreneur, you're just like, I want that guy to be my best friend. I will give him every dollar that I have. And I have like a friend that works underneath. I wouldn't say underneath Elon specifically, but he works for Tesla, and he vouches for the guy. He's like, this dude is legit, who he says he is through and through, and I have to respect that. The cars, I mean, hell, he released cars in an order so that it spells sexy when you look on the website. Like, he has SpaceX, right, where they're doing, aerospace stuff. He launched a Tesla into the atmosphere where it is to the end of time, floating through space, playing David Bowie. What? What? I don't.
That's what I mean. Like, we're just living in his world, basically. Like, you just can't.
One of the most ridiculous things he's ever done. I don't know if you guys knew this. I don't know if he did it through Tesla or like the Boring Company or one of his other companies, but he was actually selling flamethrowers to the general public at one point.
I heard about that.
They sold out in like a day. They were gone. Now there's a bunch of people out there with flamethrowers made by Elon Musk.
And you know what's super funny about that is, I watched an interview specifically about that flamethrower, because if you go to the website where it says, like, you can, where it is, the link says not a flamethrower.
Yeah,
that's actually what it's called, because he's like, they told me I couldn't sell a flamethrower. It's not a flamethrower. And he's like, it is literally the dumbest thing that I have ever come up with. I tell people, do not buy this. He's like, it's just some random airsoft gun that I bought off of Amazon that I took apart and just put a propane tank inside of. Like, that's all it is. And you can go to eBay and see the exact. It's literally like, he didn't even paint it different. It's exactly just this one airsoft gun that he took apart, and they called it not a flamethrower. He's like, it just has like a little igniter. It's like pieces off a gas grill. It's so stupid. And then he charged, like, what were they, like $600 or something stupid like that for, like, maybe, $30 worth of parts and some labor.
What do you guys think about the Cybertruck? Did we ever really talk about that? I guess we never did. I was going to write an editorial, and it kind of got old.
I was oddly thinking about the Cybertruck today. I remember hearing or reading somewhere about, like, he's an idiot because it's, it's not aerodynamic. But I'm thinking, like, if it's a truck, like, what truck is aerodynamic? What truck is trying to be fast? Yeah. And at that point, like, if you have a truck, you just want the torque, and truck and electric just sounds natural at that point, right?
I despised it at first. I did. And then it wasn't until you kind of strode right out of the gate. You were like, I kind of dig this thing, when everybody else was hating it. And so I was like, screw Wooly. I don't need him. And then you somehow, I don't know how you did it, you convinced me that the stupid thing was cool. So now when I like the comparison of it being a DeLorean. The DeLorean was not anything similar to what was, out in the mid 80s or whenever it came out. But now it's, it's a classic. You appreciate it for being so different. And the Cybertruck's it shares the same
kind of spirit.
There's so much, like, my thing with the Teslas was always like, man, these are pretty rad. But aside from the Roadster, which I cannot afford, like, they were just sedans, which don't really fit what I want, like.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he makes this thing, and I'm like, oh, hell. I love the fact that more than half the people hate it. And I love the fact that while all the truck guys hate it, it's still like a more badass truck than they're driving. And it's typical Elon Musk stuff, It's just like, it just outperforms in pretty much every way, other than towing a boat across the country or something like that. But I don't know, man. I dig it. I really appreciate the fact that he's got the balls to do what the heck he wants to do. And that's what I would support. I mean, even if I admitted that the truck was ugly as dog poop, I still just love the fact that he's just out there doing his own thing while everybody else is making cars that look identical. So,
and what's even more funny about it is, if you watch some of these interviews with him, especially some of the older interviews, kind of, mid to early 2000s, dude is a car guy. I mean, I would say he's more of a purist and kind of the, the luxury, your Jaguar, Maserati, stuff like that. But he knows his cars and he's passionate about it. And, I've seen some more recent interviews of him, and they're like, well, do you own any internal combustion engine cars? And he's like, yeah, I've got this Jaguar X, whatever. And he's like, the only reason that I keep it around because they introduced this form of engineering and blah, blah, blah. And I mean, I appreciate that he acknowledges that and the technology and how far it's progressed. Dude's just cool, man. So if you want a Tesla, don't be afraid to buy one. There's a lot of, dedicated car guys, like internal combustion engine, straight pipe track guys from Grid Life that you ask them what they daily drive every day. And they're like, oh, I've got a Model 3. Yeah. Just like you wouldn't expect it.
It's the perfect secondary car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I wonder if they're doing any killer deals right now. Probably not, huh? He ain't worried about a little virus and a little recession. That
in and of itself brings us to another topic. Cars are cheap right now.
Yeah.
I
don't know if cars are cheap, but financing is sure as hell looking good.
Yeah.
I mean, people are liquidating, man.
Bag of tricks right now to get those cars sold.
Yeah, I wonder if it's okay. So, just in case somebody's not paying attention or whatever, a lot of basically, if you're not getting 0% for 7 years, go on to the next one, right? Because that's pretty much what most of the guys are doing, at least on all the mainstream cars right now and trucks, obviously, and stuff like that. So, that's pretty cool. Another thing I was kind of talking to my dad and we were kind of thinking about is how much longer until some of these used cars, like rat era stuff like my old 911 or whatever, start hitting the market for sale. Guys that are getting scared or getting laid off or whatever that have, whatever it is, 90s Japanese classic stuff and cool stuff. There might be an opportunity. I don't want to say to, capitalize on people's misfortune, but there might be an opportunity. There might be some cars kind of flooding the market.
Yeah.
So it's something to kind of look out for. If you're in a position to where you can spend right now, it's probably a pretty stinking good time.
Yeah. I feel like that's true across the board in any investment you want to make right now. You look at the stock market or anywhere, if you want to get into something, now's the time.
I know, man. I guess it's easy if you already got money, right? It's easy to jump on these rough times and invest, but that's not most of us.
If you were in the market, what car would you buy right now? What's your itch? I know we all have one.
My itch is everything all the time, and pretty much every night about midnight when Harlow and Casey will go to sleep, I get online and I look at everything. I'm like, F-150, Miatas. I mean,
I'm just really dirty. The kids and the wife are asleep. I go on the computer.
I whip out my laptop.
No, usually, I'm serious. It's a problem because I do this every night and I'm looking at all sorts of things and it goes polar opposite. One night it's a truck, the next night it's I need one of those Miata F or RFs or whatever, the Target Top, and I'm all hot to trot about it until 2 or 3 in the morning, and then I wake up and I'm I don't need that. What was I thinking? So I don't know. I'm waiting this game out. Right now, it seems like the financing deals are great, but dealerships obviously play games, and I watch these prices. At least I know part of it's probably regional, but where I live, I'm always watching these prices, and what they basically have done is raise the price of their cars or trucks $2,000 to $3,000, and then said, "Oh, but 0% financing." Well, that's that's just a game. That's not true. So what I would maybe do is wait this thing out, wait another 6 weeks or so, and I mean, see what happens, because I bet you those cars will get cheaper. Or
a bit of patience will go a long way.
Yeah, maybe. But anyway, sorry, I went totally off topic. What would you guys buy right now? What's freaking rad?
It's hard for me to look at any modern cars, because I feel like most modern cars are doing more.
In general,
not
not strictly modern. Like if you were itching, people are liquidating, right? Some of these, more collector-ish cars, JDM cars, whatever, are kind of starting to pop up, so dudes can what would be your? I got to get in that now.
My car that I really got to have one day is a Escort Cosworth. But
they didn't make those in America, right? Those were only
so I've got multiple European cars. I need a guy in the UK to be like, dang it, I need some money. I'm selling this thing in America. That'll be good.
I've really been on what's that? The RS 200, is that what it is? The smaller car?
I don't know.
The RS 2000, the one that Ken Block has, the black one. Jesse, you know what I'm talking
Mazda.
about.
Yeah, we did a short clip on one at SEMA.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm an idiot. Let's move on. Mike, what would you buy?
Come on, man. I don't know. I'm in the market for a new Tundra right now, so that's kind of high on my list. But as far as just play toy, little toys, I have been itching for because I want to see if it's really worth all the fuss. A big, fast, 4-door European sedan.
Interesting.
He is always talking about AMGs ever since Tim Neal.
One of those supercharged V8 AMG Mercedes, or maybe a slightly older BMW M5, just something that I can throw the kids in, but you can have a lot of fun, especially on the highway with that kind of thing. That I don't know, man. I don't even know if I'll really like it, because most of them are automatics.
I was about to say they're pretty much automatic.
Kind of a cool dad car.
See, that's my dilemma right now. Where the heck can I go to get a 4-door fun car? I don't care if it's all out ground pounding, thundering fast, like an SS or something like that. I don't care about that. I want it to be fun, pretty fast, pretty quick, and I want it to be a stick shift.
All right,
I know I see you STI people, I get it, but something else.
What happened to the Caliber SRT4?
I think you're the only person that likes that car.
Everybody's overlooking it. Listen, it was something that was so unnecessary, but they were like, yeah, let's do it anyways. I've seen some really nice ones. I've seen a few mods putting on it, and it's 4 doors, and it's not bad.
I'm almost positive the interior of that car is made of melted crayons.
I mean, let's face it.
I'll give it
what's
to you.
The interior of fully CRX made out of?
Not much. Fiberglass.
Wait, why are you bringing my CRX into this? Did you say I'm sitting here quietly.
The car's dangerous, man. Get that thing off the road.
I'm just saying, we're going to sit here and start complaining on parts of cars that we're already used to.
All right, look, I like dumb cars like that Caliber you're talking about. The Caliber it was the right car at the absolutely wrong time. They came out with something that would have been all right, and then the economy tanked, and literally nobody bought it. It wasn't even the economy; it was the gas that went up, and they were like, "That ugly thing actually gets crap gas mileage too." No, I think they sold 20 of them, and they pretended it never happened. I know a couple people that have built them, and they're dope in their own way. They're that typical Mopar attitude of a car where you're like, oh, this damn Caliber will beat the pants off that little Civic, and it might, it's that car.
I'll throw another one out there. Lexus IS300 Sport Cross.
I knew you were
overseas. Check this out. Overseas, they have an all-wheel drive version available, and you can import one now for under $10K. You can import one of those now. 6-speed all-wheel drive wagon, Sport Cross wagon.
Speaking of circling back to the Dodge thing, You never see SRT4s, right? They're all dead. Although we're all supposed to be
now.
in quarantine, the state of Alabama just went into like the stay-at-home order lockdown. Yesterday, I saw 3 different SRT4s pass my house in one day. Like, what?
Because all those guys have been sitting at home doing nothing but tinkering with their cars and finally getting them to run for the first time in 18 years.
Yeah.
Either that or they realize nobody's on the road, so they're like, "Oh, I'll finally get some attention now."
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the apocalypse, man. They're coming back from the dead.
I think Mike's probably right on that one. We're 3 weeks into a quarantine? They finally fixed them.
Yeah. I got it.
Give it a week, they'll be gone again.
And it's broken.
There's going to be 2 waves of this before all of
I
this.
feel like they're all the remaining neon SRT4s are that copper color, and none of them have front bumpers, just an intercooler.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
Just massive front mount intercoolers.
Yeah.
All they
That's
have holes
another
in.
one, though, man, that, that'd be a fun car to build just for the hell of it. It had attitude. I don't know what kind of attitude, but it had attitude.
I'm still waiting. I just need my Evo 8 to come down sub $10,000.
See, that's the problem. These
I
cars that you're mentioning are difficult for somebody like me, because what I was talking about, looking for something that I could carry my kid in, that's a 4-door, that's fun to drive, doesn't have to be the fastest car in the world, but does have to be a driver's car with a stick shift. But the key is I want to finance it. I don't want to drop 10 grand on a JDM imported basket case from another country, and I don't want to drop 15 grand on an Evo with 170,000 miles on it or whatever. Like, that's not where I want to be. So, I mean,
You
those
test
cars are
drove
coming.
In mind, keeping that in mind, you kind of have one of the perfect cars now with the Fiesta. The truly perfect car is the Type R.
Yeah. But why, dude?
So
now
good.
that we
Why'd you have to bring that up? I haven't cried at all in the last 3 weeks.
You know who I was talking to the other day? Remember Joe Gustafson? Of course you remember him. Hunter, you might not. But anyway, we were talking about the Type R. The problem with that Type R is, like, it just didn't have the freaking attitude. It was a great car with zero attitude. You know what I mean? Like, I need more attitude. I need to be in a Type R and see another Type R at a light at an intersection, and we need to freak out and wave to each other. Instead, it's like a guy.
Or is that the driver? I think the drivers are just too tame.
It's the driver, because they all have 9-to-5s right now, and they wear their slacks to work, and they drive with their windows up so they don't mess up their little preppy haircut. And like that's where it's at.
Everybody who's got a Jeep has got a 9-to-5 too, and you don't see them not waving and freaking out when they see each other.
Yeah. See, they kind of break the mold, man. I don't know, man. Like,
Different people, different kinds of people. I don't know, man. I loved that Type R.
It was an amazing.
I loved it. One thing that I didn't like is I wanted it to scare me a little bit. There's some new, like the
Fastest
Hellcat.
thing in the world, but
Well, not even that. I mean, these older Hondas, man, they were still sketchy in their own way, and they only had 200 horsepower. Granted, technologies came a long way, but
It's also 30 years old.
afraid like
I was not
crush
afraid.
yourself. You're gonna die.
That's tetanus you're afraid of.
It was 2 were fine, but I mean, to a lot of people, that's a good thing. Like, even my Focus ST feels a little bit like, if I'm going to get into it, I'm going to break it, but that just might be Ford's lack of engineering. But it was a really good car, but there was some left to be desired.
Well, I've said this before somewhere. I don't remember if I wrote it or said it, but like, I feel like hot hatches need to be a little freaking sketch like that. And they need to be cheap enough to where they're the ones that you rip to work every day in. And they're the ones that you take out every day and on rainy days and all of that. And like, the Type R is basically an exotic version of a hot hatch. It's like the pinnacle of what a hot hatch can be. It's so good. It's so forgiving that it almost takes some of the fun out of it. You know what I mean? Like, it on the street, on the track, it's a different story because all that stuff is working for
dominated.
Need that out there.
God,
Yeah.
It was such a naturally bad to the bone car out on the street or on the track.
I mean, I'll battle anybody and argue with anybody. I think my Fiesta has way more attitude as a street car than the Type R does. It just
Having
wants
driven both, I agree.
it wants to
Yeah.
play a lot more. You know,
Yeah.
it just wants to be seen. The Type R,
With less horsepower.
yeah. Yeah, the Type R, I mean, it's a great car, but it's I don't know. And I think some of it is that import mentality needs to change, man. People need to freak out when they see each other. People need to wave, make a big deal out of it. You got to feel like when you buy a car like that you're buying into a culture and a community that is like almost like a Harley. Like, you know, like people buy into that whole thing where you're like, I've got to live this
It's not
lifestyle.
just a car; it's a lifestyle. Yeah.
Yeah, the bike is just the ticket into this freedom, this edgy, this rebellion, you know, and the Type R is not that, unfortunately.
Well, I feel like that also takes time to get. I feel like we might be expecting that from cars that are new on the line, but let's face it, like a lot of the cars that we grew up on, like it wasn't like that right off the lot. It took years to get there.
Well,
so
you know what? Like maybe that goes back to answer the Jeep thing. The Jeep thing, they've been building Jeeps long enough and consistent enough to where it is built that Harley-esque lifestyle. You're buying into a mentality like the Type
this
R.
is where the
they'll bring it for
STs could have been.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. The Type R hadn't been here. And they'll probably bring it for 5 years and then kill it for 5 and bring it back. And it never gets that, like, real, like, lifestyle behind it, you know?
When it'll happen, though, is when the second owners get it. The guys who are more of enthusiasts and less of just people looking to buy new kind of cool cars. The guys who are like true Honda guys, like, oh, I've got an 800 horsepower, you know, K-powered drag Civic in the back, but my daily's a Type R. That's the kind of guy that's going to bring that mentality that you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, to contradict myself and now support the Type R, like, you know, I drove it around last summer and like my wife loved it. My wife was like, why can't you get rid of the Fiesta and get this? And my little girl was like, I like this one, you know, like, because it was big enough in the back for her. Like, it was legitimately a good family car. And we drove it across the country and ripped on it. So, I mean, as far as
we
that
ripped
goes,
that car, literally ripped that car across the country and back.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you're including there and back, like 4 or 5 times, you know, and it just, it
took it all. Yeah.
That car, like, going back to, I guess, it's half the price. You can't really compare, but as far as comparing it to my Focus ST, if you like really run it out, you know, a couple of times, you start feeling like you're hurting it. The Type R was not that way at all. Like, that thing just wanted you to beat it to the red line every single time. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it was there. Like, I don't think I'll have any better memory or experience of me and Jesse, windows down, music blasting, coming out of Sedona, Arizona.
Dude,
like coming up the rocks out of the mountain, like that memory and that feeling of when the gears coming out of there will be ingrained in my head for the rest of my life.
And I don't know how they did it with a turbocharged car, but it still had that Honda brap and the little auto rev matching. As much as I would like love to make fun of it, like I couldn't. I love that stuff, man. Like
we could have turned it off.
Was that before the exhaust, the thermal R&D?
Oh no, like a stock Type R is boring as hell as far as like the sound note goes. It's way too composed. But when you do your intake and your exhaust and all that, it gets brappy and fun, dude. And it's, you know, it's the close gear ratios.
We would get there. It would be this weird like third gear. You get into like 2,000-3,000 RPMs, and it was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Jesse loved that.
I don't know what it was about that.
Now I'm missing it.
We'd be going under a tonal or something, and it would hit that RPM range where it'd really get loud, and I just hear Jesse just giggling to himself, just like sitting on his phone. Man, it's definitely. I think the main reason that I might have any sort of negative energy or be upset towards the Type R is just because we had to get rid of it. You know. Yeah. Coming down to the root of it.
I know it's funny because
for those listening, you guys might not know, but basically last year we had a deal with Motivicity Distribution where we had to buy a brand new, or not brand new, we had to buy a used, but the new FK8 Civic Type R. The time frame kind of worked out so that we only really had 2 weeks to put a whole bunch of parts on it, and per our contract with Motivicity, we had to drive the car all the way from Atlanta, Georgia, out to Coalinga, California, which is a couple of hours north of LA, and race it at a half-mile event. Plus we did 2 of the Grid Lives. We also did their speed ring in Detroit, Michigan, or Pontiac, Michigan. But after all of that, all the trips across the country, at the end of it, we then had, at the end of the final event, we had to sign it back over to Motivicity for $1. If you guys read Super Street, you would have saw that Super Street had a similar deal. They did it with an Evo, but we both had to sign over the car, sell it back to them for $1, where they now sit in Motivicity's like showroom garage thing, and basically they have not been driven since. And that was 6 months ago or whatever. So it was a lot of fun.
There is something like really great about having a car like that you know you're only going to have for 6 months. Like it was like you enjoy every minute. You don't worry about like, oh man, but should we cut this? Should we do this? It's like, no, let's do it. It's like the way to live, dude. Not that we abused the car, because we really didn't. We weren't like jackass with it or anything like that. But like, I've always said that, man. Like, modify your cars like you're about to sell it. It's the way. It's how you're gonna have the most fun. Too many people get too caught up in like, nah, I don't want to do that because I might hurt the resale value of it. It's like, dude, pretend the world's ending in 3 months. What would you do? Like, that's kind of the way to have fun with these cars.
It was really
I'm glad about that too. I did the same thing with the Mustang. I kind of got to a point where it was like just past the edge of where we should really take it. And then I was like, no, I'm done. No more.
Yeah.
I regret it. I look at that car every single day saying, we should go dumb with this thing. We're right there with it, and I just won't do it.
I miss that thing, man. I miss that thing bad.
I know, it's funny because I started off saying that thing's got no energy, and then we started talking about it. Now I'm like, shoot, man.
The memories start flooding back.
The way
yeah.
Feels,
well, I think that says a lot on like the character of a car. I mean, it's not what it is, that first impression, because you have to live with the car. You really have to enjoy and experience the car to really get a full-fledged feeling of what the car is supposed to be. It's not what you get off a lot. I mean, or if you review it, I mean, how long do you have a car from press? Like a week, maybe?
A week. And that's
is that
the thing.
fair enough time?
Like, dude, look, if I were to go to a dealership at some mall boulevard road in America, have some weird salesperson behind me and get in a Type R and drive it in traffic and red lights,
right?
No way would I get out of that what I needed to get to buy it. I would be like, it's all right. But I would be like, it's quiet. It's, like it really takes a week to start to be like, okay, now I get it. And with the Type R, it takes those first set of mods. It takes the exhaust and the intake. And then you're like, okay, now this is where this car should have been, like they just quieted
I like that. It's like, it's encouraging you to like, hey, play with me a little bit. Cause that's the same kind of feeling that I would get from like an older car. Like they didn't come out very great. You had to kind of mess with it to get it to where it needed to be. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're kind of pushing up on time here. There's one last thing that I want to kind of cover. So if you're watching this, as it comes out, and you're in these times with us, all the events have either been postponed or just canceled in general. So for those of you who want some events, I did kind of some of the events that have been rescheduled so that you can kind of set. We've got LS Fest West. If you're, a Holly guy, big V8 guy, that has been rescheduled for June 12th through the 14th. Import Alliance is currently rescheduled for July 11th and 12th. And then the Clutch Kickers rounds have all been moved to June 13th and the 14th. Plus, Formula D is currently still selling tickets for Atlanta, but it's in early May. Might not count your cards on that one. But they're still selling tickets. So, take that as you want.
For whatever it's worth, if you're in the southeast, Riverside, Chattanooga they kind of half had it because it happened the weekend that everything went to hell as far as the quarantine. But they also kind of rescheduled a second event for fall, I think in October. So there's like a lot of energy behind that meet. It's a good one.
So if you've been itching for an event, there's your rescheduled dates, or at least some rescheduled dates if you're in the southeast.
I'm excited to get back to it once we all like get our stuff together.
I think we all are. I think we're all itching. But coming up on 45 minutes now. So is there any last minute things you guys want to address or want to plug before we close this out? When's the new issue coming out?
We should be going to press at the end of this week or Monday at the latest.
Yep.
And then give it about 10 days to maybe 2 weeks or so before you start getting it in your mailbox.
It's going to be a pretty crazy issue.
It's
going to be
sneak
different.
peeks we want to? Okay.
But I don't have any sneak peeks, but like because of this quarantine thing, like all the events, what we would have had as event coverage didn't happen. So we kind of just pulled an audible and reached out to some friends and stuff and got a bunch of shoots, and it's kind of inspired me. Like I'm going for like more, just more cars in the magazine is what I want. More lifestyle, more inspiration. We're all sitting at home. Like we just want to see cool stuff. We want to be reminded of what it was like to go outside and feel the sun and see these different cars and go to meets and hang with your boys. And so, yeah, that's kind of what we're trying to throw together with this issue.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, to close it out, I want to present a question for you guys, either in the comments or if you're on YouTube, or send us DMs, messages, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Probably Instagram's where we're going to see it first. But I want to know, with the market down like it is, and you had the means, what car would you buy? For me, it'd be the Evo 8. Jesse'd probably buy the Caliber SRT4 for whatever reason. You know, what would you buy?
I'm gonna do me.
Yeah, gotcha.
Any car. What would it be? We're very curious. But until next time, we'll see you next week, Wednesday at 2:00. Thanks for watching.
See you guys.